All right, guys, Shawn Ray here for another episode of Muscular Development, Shawn Ray Unleashed. I'm just back from Kuwait, where we saw Big Ramy get redemption on Dexter the Blade Jackson, who beat him 1 week prior over in Spain. Big Ramy victorious in Kuwait, and Dexter Jackson the first runner-up. But sniffing somewhere back in the pack was just this little muscular guy who, by the time he landed in the Czech Republic at the Evils Pro Championship, William Bonac is the toast of the town. William Bonac takes out the former Mr. Olympia, first runner-up, winningest bodybuilder of all time in Dexter the Blade Jackson, and takes out the giant and Big Ramy. Now, how did this happen? Everybody keeps saying, how's this happening? What the heck's really going on? I can tell you that being a veteran of the pro circuit, Dexter the Blade Jackson, typically on paper, would be winning everything there is to win. He showed up a little bit off at the Olympia, got beat by Shawn, then wound up going off over to Spain and winning his second Arnold Classic title over in Europe, and then went over to Kuwait, and Big Ramy snuck up on him, and then boom, 2 days later, out of nowhere, William Bonac, 5'6" maybe, looks like he's about 255 pounds, one potato short of basically being overweight. William Bonac, when I saw him taking, I believe it was third place in Kuwait. I've been all over the place, so I'm kind of scatterbrained. He was pissed off. He didn't want to come back for the award ceremony. He didn't want anything to do with celebration. And I took him as a poor sport because, you know, even Dexter the Blade Jackson, a notorious winner, is not a really good loser. Came back out to take pictures on stage with those guys after winning only 5 days earlier over in Spain. Gets beaten by Big Ramy, and he's gracious in defeat, whereas William Bonac wanted nothing to do with being gracious to the fans of Kuwait in defeat. He chose not to come back out. Maybe that's because he went straight to the gym. Maybe he went and tightened up his diet. Maybe he went straight over to Prague while all the other guys were kind of celebrating. Whatever it was he did, and I didn't go to Prague, it was good enough for him to take out Dexter Jackson, Big Ramy, and Shawn, who was already on the downslide, in my opinion. Shawn just can't get it right for whatever reason. And we saw Josh Lenarkowitz fall way off. I mean, he almost looked like two totally different bodybuilders from the front and the rear. You see, what happens on these European tours, when you're going from one place to the next place to the next place, the inexperienced guys feel that they can eat that night, maybe relax for a day, and some of these experienced guys, they're tightening the screws, man. And I know William Bonac, I believe he did something like 21 shows in the past, I don't know, a couple of years. Used to be a 212-pound bodybuilder, working with Neil Hill as his guru, trying to figure it out. I was there at the Golden State, I believe it was 2 years ago, up in Sacramento, where he won, and quietly has been working his way to the top. And we saw him make his stance in Las Vegas only 2 weeks ago at the Mr. Olympia, where we climbed up into that top 5 spot and was notoriously aggressive at the press conference. I think Bob Ciccarello pushed a couple of screws, and we saw the emotion of a guy who was on the brink of victory. William Bonac stayed focused. There are some shortcomings. He's got humongous arms and big billowing quadriceps. He's got pecs like Bertil Fox. He's got the glutes. He's got the hamstrings. He's one apple from spilling over. He's got a very short Kai Green-like torso, and every once in a while, when he breathes through his abdominal wall, it totally throws off the symmetry. He's very short and compact, and he has to be careful of posing like this. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger always talked about Franco being a small bodybuilder, posing small. He needs to open that stuff up. He needs to stand straight up on that rear lat spread. He doesn't need to lean back so far into his back lat spread that his back doesn't open up for the judges to see. He's making certain minor corrections to make himself a contender. He's now qualified for the 2017 Mr. Olympia. If he so chooses, he can shut down the entire 2017 season and wait for September. However, I wouldn't. He is hot. He needs to pick his shows carefully, and I definitely would like to see him on the stage and on the circuit in 2017, rack up a couple more wins, and definitely drop down in weight just a tad. So, number one, he has the stamina to go through the prejudging. I mean, he's gassed by the prejudging. 2 or 3 call-outs, and William starts to fade, kind of like Rolly Winkler. He's got to work on his stamina. He definitely has to continue to pay attention to his detail, because that's how he's beating these bigger guys. Was he better than Dexter? If you go pose by pose, genetically, Dexter has a better structure, but muscularity-wise, William Bonac crushes Dexter in terms of pound-for-pound muscle per square inch on his body. He's got much better quadriceps, much better calves. He has just as equal tie-ins in his glutes and his hamstrings. His arms are right there with him. His chest is billowing. William Bonac is definitely one of those guys who now put a feather in his hat. He's got a Mr. Olympia behind him in Dexter Jackson. He's got Big Ramy, the champion of Kuwait, behind him. He beat the first runner-up in Shawn Rhoden. The only guy he didn't beat at this show was Phil Heath. And that rematch will take place in September. The question is, can William Bonac refine the physique, tighten it up, dry it up just a little bit more, and do it in September when it really counts? These guys are all under the same stress and pressures as they get a little bit comfortable. You know, here was Big Ramy in victory, maybe relaxed just for a little bit, and that little bit was just enough for little William Bonac to come in, along with Dexter the Blade Jackson, who swore on redemption. He's going to wind up going over to the Olympia in Europe. That's going to come up October the 22nd. And William Bonac, he's a shoo-in for this next competition. There's nobody that's going to beat William Bonac when they get to Finland this coming weekend. So 2 wins for William Bonac. I'm going on record right now saying he's going to be the winner this weekend. And again, right now, William Bonac is making some serious headway in the IFBB, and we're going to see some pretty big things from that little guy coming up in 2017. Tighten up, dry up. We'll see William Bonac in the winner's circle in Finland. For MuscularDevelopment.com Unleashed, I'm Sugar Shawn Ray.